Dwyane Wade is greater than James Harden. Dwyane Wade is greater than James Harden. I don't care what y'all talking about. What's goody? It's your host, Jay Rose, as always. And I know I'm a little late, but I wanted to give my 2 cents on this James Harden versus Dwyane Wade debate because I've been seeing this a lot on Twitter, and some of these takes to me are just ridiculous. Jeff Teague is wildin'. Everybody on Twitter is wildin', but Dwyane Wade is better than James Harden. Most def. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about this James Harden versus Dwyane Wade debate. I wanted to put my 2 cents in on it because I think y'all are crazy. First of all, I just want to get this argument out of the way because I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, but Dwyane Wade had Shaq, but Dwyane Wade had LeBron. Get out of him. Get out of my face, bro. Get out of my face, please. James Harden came into the NBA with talent already given to him. They didn't get it done. They actually lost to Dwyane Wade and LeBron. And I'm not going to put that on James Harden because I was young James Harden, 6-man James Harden, cool. James Harden gets to Houston, and I'll give y'all this. James Harden definitely did more with less on Houston, absolutely. He led his team, but let's not pretend like those Houston Rockets teams were not at least better than what the Heat had. When Dwyane Wade was by himself, he was literally by himself. People want to talk about Shaq, and what I say to that is that Dwight Howard on the Rockets was literally better than Shaq. Absolutely. And if you don't believe me, you can go look at the numbers for yourself. During the playoffs, his first year with the Rockets, Dwight Howard averaged 26 points, like 2.5 blocks, and maybe 15 rebounds. And they lost. They had the talent. That's all. James Harden and a prime Dwight Howard. They literally got peak Dwight Howard. You couldn't ask him to do more than that. He averaged 26 points for you. You had help. Shaq was not averaging anywhere near 26 points when he was on the Heat. He was 18 max. 18 points max in the playoffs. So if we're really trying to look and see who played with what talent, James Harden has played with way more talent than Dwyane Wade, and let's not get that twisted. The only thing is that Dwyane Wade has played with LeBron James, and I feel a lot of people will say LeBron will make anybody win a championship. If you give LeBron to James Harden, they'd win a championship, and honestly, I don't know if that's true, because on a LeBron-led team, LeBron will get you there. LeBron will 100% get you there, but once you get there, you're going to have a real good team in front of you. And that second option needs to come up big. Can James Harden do what D-Wade did? I don't know. Probably not. Because we look at James Harden and he drops off in the playoffs. His percentages go down. He averages less points. He's a playoff dropper. True. That's a fact. Can James Harden do what Kyrie did in the 2016 playoffs? Absolutely not. LeBron and Kyrie going back and forth, getting 40 balls with each other. Kyrie hitting them on one of the most clutch shots in NBA history, if not the most clutch shot in NBA history. James Harden's not doing that, respectfully. James Harden is a regular season player. During the regular season, During the regular season, James Harden is better than Dwyane Wade. Cool. But when it comes crunch time and you need these games, the biggest games of the season, I'm taking Dwyane Wade. You know why? Because Dwyane Wade got it done. Dwyane Wade got it done. You could say, oh, Dwyane Wade had Shaq. In that finals, how much did Dwyane Wade average? We're going to look at it right now. He averaged 34 points, 34.7 points, 7.8 assists, and 3.8 rebounds in a final series. Those are James Harden numbers in the regular season. Dwyane Wade did that in the finals. James Harden is not doing that in the playoffs at all. He's not averaging that in the playoffs. He's not doing it. He came up big. He had the clutch moments. He had the shots. He had the performance. 34 points in the finals is insane. 35 points, whatever you want to round it up, cool. Dwyane Wade 8. Dwyane Wade was cold. When it mattered the most, he came up huge. When it mattered in San Antonio, came up huge. Mattered in OKC, came up huge. Obviously, he had his drop off. Dwyane Wade dealt with injuries towards the end of his career. The way this play style and the amount of times that he was jumping, it's obviously not going to lead to you having good longevity, good knees over time. But when Dwyane Wade was on his peak, he was amazing. He was one of the best players in the NBA. Let's not forget that. People are looking at, oh, James Harden averaged 36 points. And you take that and you say, Dwyane Wade can't do that. Dwyane Wade can't win a scoring title. He did. Dwyane Wade has a scoring title. Dwyane Wade was one of the best scorers in the NBA during his era. In an era where the pace was slowed down. And averaging 30 points was a lot harder to come by than averaging 30 points now. And that's true. I'm not saying 30 points is less valuable. But what I'm saying is, in that era, the pace was slow. There was less shots. There was less opportunity. There was less people scoring that many points. True. It's just true. The mid-2000s and early 2010s was some of the slowest paced basketball of all time. Y'all want to talk about 90s basketball? The early 2000s had some of the slowest pace in NBA history. So averaging 30 points in that era, like Kobe, like D-Wade, like Bron, that's absolutely impressive. So for people to just look at that and say, I don't care, James Harden averaged this and this and this. Relative to their eras, both of them were peak scorers. Absolutely. And here's an argument that nobody likes to bring up. Dwyane Wade is a far better defender. Dwyane Wade is one of the best defensive guards in NBA history. James Harden during his prime was probably one of the worst defensive guards in the NBA. Did he get better over time? Yeah, he did. He did. But during his prime, he sucked on defense, to be frank. Literally, people were making memes about how bad his defense was. You didn't have to watch basketball to know that James Harden didn't play defense, because that's how bad he was getting clowned for not playing defense. And nobody likes to bring up the defensive side of the ball. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I'm an offensive guy. Most of the time, I'm going to value offense over defense, especially if the gap isn't that wide. But for the scoring gap to not be that wide, in my opinion, I think Dwyane Wade is a peak scorer. I think James Harden is a peak scorer as well. I think that that gap is there. It's not that big. It's not that big, in my opinion. So on the offensive side of the ball, I'll give the slight edge to James Harden. On the defensive side of the ball, Dwyane Wade blows him out of the water. There's literally no competition there at all. Dwyane Wade had a ring one of his first years in the NBA. He was drafted in 03, won a ring in 06. Can you really wrap your head around that? James Harden got to one finals in his whole career, and that was because of KD and Russ. He hasn't gotten back there as a lone star. He hasn't. And like I said, you can say, oh, Dwyane Wade had LeBron. Y'all don't even want to get into that. Y'all don't want to get into that. Who did James Harden have? He played with KD twice. He played with Russ twice. He played with Kyrie Irving. He played with Joel Embiid. He played with Dwight Howard. And it never panned out. He played with everybody I named is a Hall of Famer. And like I said earlier, Dwight Howard was literally better than Shaq when he was on the Rockets and Shaq was on the Heat. He had more help throughout his career. You can say, yes, Dwyane Wade had LeBron, very true, but guess what? The first year LeBron was even in Miami, Dwyane Wade outplayed him. Dwyane Wade showed up and LeBron didn't. So what are we talking about? I'm just saying, you want to talk about help? James Harden had ample of it and hasn't gotten nearly as far. You want to say, oh, but he ran into the Warriors. He ran into the Warrior squad, the Warrior squad that one year they were literally injured. Y'all remember that? So we're going to rewind a little bit. CP3 and James Harden got the Warriors on the ropes. CP3 gets hurt. James Harden has one of the worst performances in playoff history. They lose. Fast forward to the next season. Rematch. Second round. We got the Rockets versus the Warriors. Kevin Durant's hurt. So now it's Steph, Clay, Draymond, and a depleted Warriors team because they spent all their money trying to bring KD there. And guess what? They lose. So you can say, oh, they only didn't make it because Chris Paul got hurt. The next season when Chris Paul was there and Kevin Durant wasn't, they lost. They had their fair shake and they didn't get it done. Look at that. Is this the year Dame hit that shot? It is. This is the year Dame hit that shot on them. Listen, I don't want to hear nothing about that. I don't. You guys had one of the best teams in the league. You had James Harden. You had Dwight Howard, both at the peak of their powers. Or if you don't want to say Dwight was at his peak, that's fine. Dwight was playing at a peak level during this playoff run. He was averaging like 26 points a game during this series. He was absolutely going stupid against the Trailblazers, and y'all lost in 6. Y'all didn't even play the Warriors, the baby Warriors that lost in the first round to the Clippers. You didn't play a top 3 team. You lost to the Trailblazers. You didn't play San Antonio. You didn't play Oklahoma. You didn't play LA. So what are we talking about? You had chances. I don't like the fact that he keeps getting excuse after excuse after excuse. He just didn't get it done. Point blank, period. You want to look even now. You have Joel Embiid. You still not getting it done. We got 29.6 points. We got 7.7 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals. This is James Harden and 44% from the field. These are James Harden's numbers, and they look good, of course. But let's look at D Wade's numbers during his peak, because we're comparing peak seasons. I picked 2013 to 2020 for James Harden, and for D Wade we got 2006 to 2011. 27 points for D Wade, 6.5 assists, 5 rebounds, 1.9 steals, 1.1 blocks. And he also shot almost 49% from the field as a guard, as a slashing guard. Insane. Also putting his 27 points, like I was talking about the pace earlier, that's very impressive. He was one of the peak scorers during his era, and even looking at the numbers as is in their peaks, they're not that far off from each other at all. And Dwyane Wade only took 2.3 threes a game. So imagine if Dwyane Wade took nearly as many the amount of threes that James Harden took. Literally 1 3 a game. 1 more 3 a game. If he hit 1 more 3 a game, he'd be averaging 30 this entire portion. James Harden, he has the numbers. His numbers look real pretty, real nice. But if you really want to talk about X's and O's and what Dwyane Wade was doing during his prime, I'm taking D Wade. I'm taking D Wade. And that's just my argument. I think if you take James Harden, that's cool. Obviously, he has a more appealing game to look at. I guess he's smoother, the step backs, the threes. It looks better. You know, looking at his numbers, the 36 points, the 34 points, it looks nice. The MVP definitely brings him up as well, because if he didn't have that MVP, this would not be a conversation. But I'm definitely taking Dwyane Wade. I think Dwyane Wade is the greater player, and I'm going to leave it at that. Catch you on the next one.